Josh, a lot of the audience are familiar with Hunter Biden and Hunter Biden's activities as it pertains to the Chinese Communist Party. Fewer, I think, will be aware of the Hunter Biden of the right, I suppose, which appears to be by the comments in your book and the scoop in your book about Neil Bush. Neil Bush, the brother of George W. Bush. Can you tell us a little bit more about what I think is one of the stranger and more interesting parts of this book?
Right, which is interesting because when when the Hunter Biden story came out, everyone was like, "Oh, well, why did they try to bribe him when his parents weren't even in office?" It was during the other administration. And what the Neil Bush story reveals is that actually the attempts to co-opt American elites are long-term, and they're on both sides of the aisle. And the Chinese Communist Party has what's an extensive influence operation called the United Front. And what the United Front does is they try to attack the enemies by using the friends of the party. And it's not in China's interest, it's not in the Chinese people's interest, it's in the party's interest. And this dates back to Mao. And this is a very huge organization funded by billions and billions of dollars. And what they do in America is that they find front organizations, and sometimes they're Hong Kong billionaires, sometimes they're Chinese billionaires, sometimes they're American billionaires, and they give them a bunch of money, and they tell them to pay somebody, and the person that one of the people they fund is Neil Bush.
Let me quote from the book, page 121. But his son Neil Bush was a totally different story. Since becoming the chairman of the Bush China Foundation, he had become a reliable mouthpiece for Beijing and worked directly with United Front figures, including Teng Chihua. In July 2019, he traveled to Hong Kong in the middle of the protests and gave a keynote speech at a conference hosted by Teng where he said, quote, "China is not an economic enemy or existential national security threat to the United States. The demonization of China is being fueled by rising nationalism in the U.S. that is manifested in anti-immigrant, anti-Chinese, pro-American first rhetoric." That is the type of spin that they're putting when you're trying to confront China. All of a sudden you're racist. All of a sudden you're nationalist, which nothing can be more than the truth. This is the elite capture that they do. And how he was captured by being honeypotted.
Well, that's the allegation. He admitted that several women in his business trips in China showed up at his hotel room to have sex with him.
In a deposition
And
on a divorce proceeding.
And so this is a part of what they do. It's to capture elites and put their messages.
Did he not think it was strange that people were turning up to his hotel?
They asked him in the deposition. They said, "Didn't you find it unusual, Mr. Bush, that these women would show up at your hotel room to have sex with you for no reason?" And he said, "Actually, I found it quite unusual."
Okay. Short commercial break.
Wait, the sex or the turning up for sex?
I will do that as President of the United States. And by the way, Governor Bush, I will stop allowing China to play us for suckers. We've given them most favored nation status 10 years in a row. They dumped their goods here. And Iowa farmers are selling less to China now than they did 10 years ago. The time of them playing us for suckers will end in my presidency.
Governor Bush and then Senator Hatch, I need to ask you.
I'm glad you brought it up. You're not for China getting into the WTO.
I don't.
And, well, let me finish. I'm not asking you a question. I'm kind of rhetorical here. Okay. Oh, it's hard to tell with you sometimes, Governor. I am. And let me tell you something. The amount of corn that'll be moved if China gets in the WTO will rise from 250,000 metric tons to 7.2 million metric tons. Opening up Chinese markets is good for Iowa farmers. Yes, sir. Governor, here's your fallacy. You believe the Chinese government will keep their agreements. They haven't kept their agreements for 20 years.
That's why we let them in the WTO. That's part of agreement keeping. That brings China to
That just gives them another agreement to break, Governor.
No, well. Let me take you quickly back to the Freedom of the Farmer.
You want to isolate the farmer.
I don't want to drop that yet because Senator Hatch, you voted for the Freedom of the Farmer.
Right. And it was the right thing to do. If farmers want to make better...
If I'm president, China will find itself respected as a great power. It will be unthreatened, but not unchecked. China will find in America a confident and willing trade partner. And with trade comes our standing invitation into the world of economic freedom. China's entry into the World Trade Organization is welcome, and this should open the door for Taiwan as well.
Apart from the higher prices on consumers and people are living paycheck to paycheck, apart from that, there'll be retaliation.
Yeah.
So the soybean sales from Iowa. Entire soybean production goes, the equivalent of it goes to China. Or how about Boeing right here within a mile? Do you think that the Chinese, if they had a 45% tariff imposed on all their imports, wouldn't retaliate and start buying Airbus? Of course they would. This would be devastating for our economy. We need someone with a steady hand being President of the United States.
Real quick, Senator.
Yeah. Now, and by the way, Jeff, you mentioned Boeing. Take a look. They order planes. They make Boeing build their plant in China. They don't want them made here. They want those planes made in China.
They're a mile
That's
away
not the
from
way the game is supposed to be played.
Thank you, Mr. Trump. Very briefly.
Hey, my name was mentioned. My name was mentioned here. The simple fact is that the plane that's being built here is being sold to China. You can, if you flew in with your 767, didn't you? Right there, right next to the plant.
No, the new planes. I'm not talking about now. I'm talking about in the future. They're building massive plants in China because China does not want Boeing building their planes here. They want it built in China because China happens to be smart the way they do it, not the way we do it.
When you head back to the airport tonight, go check and see.
Oh, yeah, I'll check for you.
You know, back before Hong Kong was switched from the British to the Chinese, they had fewer rights in terms of electing officials. There had been an increase in the kind of elected representational government, you know, since the Chinese takeover. And as far as I know, I haven't heard of any of my Hong Kong friends that have complained that their freedoms are being ripped from them, or there's some kind of a communist takeover, or there's some kind of a nefarious effort to try to subvert their way of life.
In China, of course, many Chinese remember him dearly and even call him a statesman. That's an old friend of China. That's quite a top level title anyone could get in terms of friendship.